a meteorologist and science expert. Amy Metz joins us now. We've got lots of questions for you. Thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, thank you for having me this morning. Fire away with the questions. I know that magma has been fired.
Well, first we want to hear what you have to say in terms of your analysis of what's going on in Iceland right now.
Yeah, great idea. We'll start with that recap. We do see magma. This was spewing out of a crack. Earthquakes about 1 month ago led to a volcano cracking near the town of Grendavík. So this is just a few miles away from there and still actively spewing some magma and toxic pollutants. So that's what I've been talking the most about recently. Luckily, what we're seeing is digressing. The vents, the amount of fissures that are open around this volcano, it's decreasing over the last couple of days.
How often does this happen in Iceland?
It's actually one of the most active areas in the whole world for volcanoes. So this particular northern island gets volcanoes very often. In fact, we had 2010, that large eruption. So many of us remember the travel delays across the seas, across the Atlantic because of all the smoke in the air. That time there was so much ash from an ash plume, but that is not the case with this. We see very, very light amounts of cloud here coming up from that. Not the big amounts of ash.
Is there a threat to life, to human life? Sorry, John.
No problem.
You know, there obviously could be with volcanoes and magma and lava. However, at this time, there is not. The idea that we have already evacuated, or officials in that town of Grendavík have evacuated the area where the magma is known to be underground, really helps. There are so many new tools at our disposal as scientists today. So the good news there is that people have been warned. We do know where that magma is. There are even a few ways that scientists are discovering we can start to predict when earthquakes and volcanoes may be more active.
You know, I love the water in Iceland. I drink Iceland water. Why? Because it's 8.88 pH. I'm actually a water snob. But how does, you said that the volcanoes erupt quite frequently compared to others around the world. How does it change the ecosystem? And with that said, you know, with the water being premier versus other places, how does Iceland stay so crystal clear and clean when you have these volcanoes erupting?
Well, one of the beautiful things about nature is that some of these things that can trigger the volcanoes can also help to eliminate the pollutants from them. As the sun is rising in front of me right now, it's already been up for a couple hours in Iceland. With that sunlight comes ultraviolet radiation, where within that are hydroxyl radicals. So the sunshine itself does carry with it the ability to, within a second, oxidize and eliminate pollutants such as hydrogen fluoride, hydrogen chloride, and so on. So there are large amounts of CO2 that come out of these. Of course, we don't want to breathe that in directly. We'd rather have a little oxygen in that mix to feel better. And those other chemicals I mentioned will irritate the nose, the eyes, and throat. So we don't want to be near that. And one of the things the Meteorological Service in Iceland has been talking about recently is the idea that some of these pollutants from what's flowing up today could actually be drifting south near Reykjavik or toward the west just a little bit. And the idea, though, with the sun coming up now, and I just spoke about how that can help drive some pollutants upward as they heat and also eliminate others. That threat to life, those risks for pollutants and polluting that beautiful blue lagoon, it's one of those main tourist attractions. It's very unlikely. However, if some of that magma from the tunnel that we spoke about north of Grendavík, there is the magma flowing out as we see on the screen. Underneath the town flows the lava into the ocean. It's not known at this time if that is spewing into the ocean, but if and when it will, that's when we would see toxic, areas of waste, but at the same time, over time, it would generate a new ecosystem there. So very high concentrations of the magma, the heat, and these chemicals can be destructive. But what we're looking at with the air, with the gases moving around today, we're in better shape than we could be, especially compared to something like a volcanic crater explosion like we had in 2010.
Amy Metz, so much terrific information and magnificent pictures. Stay safe, and thank you so much for filling us in.
You know, I feel smarter.
Yeah.
Awesome, great. From gushing lava to money printing, is Bidenomics working for many working class Americans? Depends on who you ask. Even Democrats don't fully support it. And this is the time of the year Americans are really looking at their wallets and their pocketbooks, hoping there's enough to make everybody's Christmas wish come true.
Well, here to talk about the money in our pockets, or maybe the lack thereof, is business and market expert Seth Denson. Welcome, Seth. Merry Christmas a bit early.
Betsy. Betsy, John, good morning. I don't know if it's the heat from the volcano, but it seems a little hot in here. So, that was a great segment. I learned a lot, too. I was taking notes. I'm like, man, I missed that in science class growing up.
Well, as long as the market is not going to overheat, we'll be fine.
Well, if you own stocks, that's not so bad.